Welcome to the American Nomad Podcast, hosted by the legend himself, or as I refer to him, the legend in his own mind, Rav Holly.
Show. I am the American Nomad, Rav Holly. Thanks for joining in for the Hunt Day show. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. Hopefully we've got some sound. Please, somebody tell me we've got some sound today. I'm having a problem with the A camera staying focused. I don't know what's going on with that. But I think we got the sound worked out. Hopefully, that's my hope anyway. We're on B camera over here. I think it's time to go to A camera and get this party started. Hey, it's in focus. How about that? Guess I got lucky. Anyway, guys, good to have you here. Who do we have in the room already? We got Random Nomad. Buddy, you are the man. I have to thank you. Mr. Random Nomad there just hit me with a $35 donation. So this show has already, it's already paid for itself, man. I appreciate that. You don't know how much I appreciate that. That really, it makes me feel like what I'm doing here, I want to keep doing it. It's that kind of thing that makes me want to keep doing it. You get some negativity in the comments and stuff, but then when Random Nomad hits me, or somebody hits me with some support, I mean, it makes that makes it all worthwhile. Everything that I continue to keep messing around with. Hopefully we got volume today. Please tell me I got my sound fixed. I don't think we have an echo, and I think we have everything worked out. Is it too quiet? Oh no! Please don't tell me that. Can you hear me, Random Nomad? Can you guys hear me? I should be plenty loud today. What's the sound like? It looks good on my end. It's a little quiet. Let me try this. And this. How about now? Should be better. Okay. So on my end, the sound is great. Sounds great. So I don't know what is going on. I worked on this literally all day yesterday, so I could hit this button today and have great sound. I thought I had everything worked out. I literally was in here yesterday for about 15 hours working on sound and getting everything ready. Tad better on sound. How about now? It should be, let's see, let me try something else here. Okay, how about now? That should be a lot louder. Yeah, I'm still working out the kinks, Random Nomad, but it's been enough shows now. One of these days I'm going to, way better, okay, great. One of these days I'm going to hit this button and everything is going to be exactly on perfect, and I'm going to nail those settings down and not mess with anything. Okay, great. We got some good sound now. Good to hear. Finally. So my new lighting came in. It didn't work exactly like I wanted it to. I had planned on having blue light. I ordered 2 RGB lights. One was going to be blue, one was going to be red. American Nomad, but unfortunately, with my camera, it was having a bunch of banding, which if you don't know what that means, it's like a flicker. It's the kind of thing that'll make people with epilepsy could actually have a seizure. It was getting these rolling banding. So the only way I could fix that was go to this red oranges color. So that's where we're at now. I could go to like purple or pink, but I was kind of over those colors. And I could go to just the red, but then it's kind of, the red's a little too much red. So I did a red orange. Awesome. Glad you like it, Random Nomad. Yeah, I was in here yesterday. You don't realize it, but I've moved my desk, this whole desk I moved about, it's probably about 4 foot further than it was. So I did a lot of rearranging yesterday, trying to get some more depth behind me, but didn't have a whole lot of luck. Yeah, fall colors, Amy Preston. I didn't even think of that. Good call on that one. So how's everybody doing today? We're going to be talking about, if you didn't see the topic, going to be how have I been doing? I've been doing good. I'm doing a lot better because of this. I was really feeling pretty ragged today. I came in here yesterday and did a whole lot of work. Like I said, I moved my whole desk, moved some things around so I could do some different filming for some different YouTube videos, because I'm going to do some regular produced videos that, like I edit them like for Nomad News and stuff. So I think I've got the podcast pretty close to where I want it. So and as soon as I get the sound ironed out and have everything like I want it with a podcast, I'm going to get back to producing some regular vlogs and other videos that I used to do, and producing some Nomad News episodes on my other channel. But so yesterday I ended up, I have 2 different Mac computers. This I'm using here as a PC, but I have 2 different Mac computers, and I was going to set up an editing bay so I can get to editing videos, because I even have videos from RTR that I've never edited. So I dumped my card yesterday, which was 35 gigs of footage. And so I went and bought a desk and went out into storage and got my Mac Pro, which is a big, huge computer with a 30-inch Apple display, to get it's got 14 terabytes of storage in it, to get it all hooked up and everything so I could get back to editing videos. So I set up my little editing bay over there, got my Mac Pro hooked up, got everything ready to go, set my big 30-inch Apple Cinema display up, turned everything on, and somehow the display got smashed. So after about all day long getting that thing all set up and ready to go, and the display is smashed, and I paid the thing was a little over $900 when I bought it. It's old now. My whole Mac Pro is old, but I got online to see what another 30-inch, even though they're old. I mean, they came out like in 2011. And but I got online to see what it would cost me to buy a used display to replace the one that I broke. They're still $300. So yeah, I have a 27-inch iMac. I ended up just hooking that thing up. The problem is it doesn't have the storage in it. That's a problem. I have a MacBook Pro that I edit on, but I continuously have problems with it running out of storage. So that's why I have that Mac Pro, because the Mac Pro has, I think it's got 6 terabytes of storage internally. It has 6 1 terabyte or 4 6 terabyte. Anyway, it's got 6 terabytes in it, and then I have a G drive that's on the outside, an external hard drive that has 7 terabytes. So it's like 13 terabytes of storage. You can hear me or you can't hear me? Yeah, cracked and broken screen, sad day. Guns OG, man, what is going on? Joel P, good to see you. Amy Preston. Random Nomad hit me with a $35 donation just to get the show started today, and that really brightened my day up. It made my my worry about the cracked screen kind of went away a little bit. I appreciate that, Random Nomad. Yep, you sure did, Random Nomad. I really appreciate it. Detox T, how you doing, buddy? Sounds good, good. So glad to finally be getting the sound worked out. Yeah, that's a lot of storage space. That's why that's my editing, so I can do all of my editing. But the problem is even though it's my editing computer, it's crazy how fast it's gotten so old that you can't even really update it anymore. It's too bad that Mac don't keep supporting their old computers, because they last forever. Detox D, I have a MacBook from 2006, still works, but charger burnt. Yeah. I've actually got Detox D, I've actually got a MacBook Pro that's probably from 2011. And then I've got another one right here that's like a 2016. The great thing about Macs is they do just keep working and working and working. I like editing video on a Mac. I have a PC, but I don't really edit on the PC. I edit on Mac. But I used to be all PC, and then in about 2010, I had a Dell Inspiron, and it was my main company computer, and it got malware on it or got a virus on it, and I was editing a wedding. I had hundreds of photographs that I had edited for this wedding I'd shot, and it was $6,500. These people were paying me, and my hard drive froze up or quit working because of this virus that killed this Dell. So I had to pay a guy $300 to he got in there and got all of my information off of this Dell computer I had. This is a crazy story. And he asked me, I remember him texting me and asking me, he goes, okay, I got all of your wedding pictures and all of your company information. I have all that stuff off this hard drive. Is there anything else on this hard drive that you need me to get off? Because I'll do it right now, but if you come back later, I'll charge you another $300. And I was like, no, man, that's all I need. I was just worried about those wedding pictures, which is what I was worried about the most. What I did leave on that hard drive, though, somebody's talking about me. My nose started itching. What I did leave on that hard drive, though, was in 2009, I had bought this Dell. I had actually bought $15 worth of this little currency that nobody knew what it was. I didn't even know what it was. I was searching the web late at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I saw this freaking little infomercial advertisement thing on a banner. Remember banners when websites used to have banners on top of them? So it was this little banner, and it said the new will be the new currency of the future. And so I click on this banner and it takes me and I watch this little video. Remember when videos used to be like that big? It was a really small video because back then video took so much bandwidth. The videos were like this big. They were tiny. But I watched this little like 2-minute video of this guy talking about this new cryptocurrency, and I'd never even heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. But he said if you buy $1 of this cryptocurrency within, he said like 5 years, this $1 worth of cryptocurrency will be worth $100, I think is what he said, or $1,000. I think he said $1,000. Because if you buy $1 of this cryptocurrency within 5 years, it'll be worth $1,000. So I was like, huh, well, that's crazy. It's just $1 for this investment. So I ended up buying $15 worth of it. So I'm like, $1,000, cool, but $15 will get me 15 grand. Now that's something to talk about. So I bought $15 worth of this little cryptocurrency that was called Bitcoin. You ever heard of Bitcoin? Yeah, I think you have. Most people have these days. But at that time, nobody knew what Bitcoin was. So I bought $15 worth of Bitcoin. Long story short, that Bitcoin was on that Dell Dimensions computer, and I did not get that Bitcoin off of that computer. And when he asked me, I thought to myself, oh man, I should have told him to get that Bitcoin off of there. But I was like, nah, that Bitcoin's never going to do anything. I'd had it for, it was not doing anything. Nobody was getting excited about it. 2 years ago, I believe in 2018, that Bitcoin, I ended up taking that Dell computer, that Dell Inspiron, when I moved out of my studio in Long Beach and moved to Joshua Tree. That Dell Inspiron was the last thing in the floor, that big Dell computer. And I knew the hard drive was froze up on it, but it still had that Bitcoin on it. So I looked at that computer and I thought to myself, do I want to take this thing? It's dead. There's nothing, it doesn't even work. Do I want to take this boat anchor computer with me just because it's got that Bitcoin on there, or do I want to get rid of it? And, my stepsister and, I've got people that always tell me, don't be a pack rat. If it doesn't work, don't keep it. So I picked up that Dell Inspiron and I walked right over by the U-Haul, which I was parked right by the dumpster, and I dumped that Dell Inspiron in the dumpster with that Bitcoin on it. In 2018, that Bitcoin was worth about $5 million. $5 million. I got a hold of a Bitcoin expert because it's cryptocurrency. It's a digital currency, so I still own it if I could find it, but I don't have you had like a Bitcoin wallet that went on your computer that had like an ID. I don't know what that ID was. So in 2018, I told a guy that was a cryptocurrency expert, I said, look, if you can find this Bitcoin for me, I'll give you $100,000 reward out of it. And he looked for a solid month and tried to track it down, but never could track it down. So yeah, that was my closest I ever been to a millionaire. I guess I was a millionaire, but I threw it away. Yeah, that's always been my luck for some reason. Always. Let's see. Let's go back to the room here. What Detox D said, what laptop would you recommend? Detox D, I really do like the MacBook Pros. Mine was crashed yesterday. It was crashed. I've had it for 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. It still seems brand new to me, but I guess I've had it now for 3 years. And I have another one that I had before it that's a 2011, I believe, and this one's a 2016, 2017. And I'd never had a problem with it. And then the other day, I sat down here and was going to try to do some editing, and I went to boot it up, and it stuck on the Apple screen. So yesterday, I thought it would just be like a reset. It has this little reset that you can reset a lot of times with a MacBook Pro, and it'll just kick off and start working. And it didn't work. I literally had to do a new OS install, which was very easy. But on a computer, on a PC, when the OS gets corrupted, it can be a nightmare getting that thing reworking again. So it took me about probably a couple of hours to get the MacBook Pro working again, getting it booting up. But yeah, I finally did get it to boot up. But my Macs, my iMac and my Mac Pro have aged to the point where they need to be they probably really need to be replaced. And like the Mac Pro, that's like a $6,000-$7,000 computer to replace. So I just keep using the Mac Pro that I have, the old one. You know what I mean? Because I don't have the money anymore to buy Macs like that. And a new iMac even is, $1,500. So I don't have the money really to replace those. So I went back to PC. So I'm on PC. Plus I wanted to start streaming and gaming. And for me, it just works better on a PC. So that's what I'm on now. I actually am on a Dell server, a Xeon. But as far as a laptop for van life, they're expensive. And you don't have to go out and get a brand new one. You can find a used one. My 2011, I bought the thing used. It was like a year old. I bought it from a girl who was selling it because she was buying another one, or she wanted a smaller one, I think is what it was. She wanted like the MacBook Air. So she was selling her MacBook Pro so she could get the Air because she wanted something smaller and lighter. So I bought her used MacBook Pro, and that thing is still out of my truck and it still works. It's just the battery is shot in it. But you can get another battery for it. But they last forever. And I have a Dell that was a XPS, a Dell laptop that I had before I bought a Mac, because I used to be very anti-Mac. And I had a Dell XPS, which was at that time, the Dell XPS was the equivalent of a PC compared to a MacBook or a MacBook Pro. And that thing, I've had the screen go out on it. I had all kinds of problems with it. It was basically a POS, a piece of crap. I've still got it, but it was never, it still works, but it was never a great laptop. If you can afford to get if you're going to be gaming, yes, Random Nomad, good call on that. If you want to be a gamer, an Alienware, an Alienware is a great PC laptop. I actually have an Alienware. It's called a small form PC. I would actually grab it and show it to you guys. I actually love the thing because I bought it for my Snap-on truck so I could actually have a gaming PC in my Snap-on truck. But it's got like a bag. You can actually put it in a bag and carry it. So it's a portable real PC. It's a real PC. It's got lights on it and everything. It's called a Dell Alienware X51 R3. And it's got a GPS. It's got the GPU in it is a 960 or 980. It's a great little PC. But yeah, if you're going to get a gaming laptop, don't get a MacBook Pro because it's not going to work for gaming very well. You'll have to go with PC. But if you're going to be doing like video editing and stuff like that, I would get. I just don't think you can go wrong with a MacBook Pro because it's just going to last. Like my MacBook Pro, it's right over there on that little desk right there. I dropped it and the screen didn't. The screen cracked and it dented the top of it. I dropped it from like standing position. I was like walking out of a Starbucks and it slipped out of my hand and landed on the concrete. And if it had been a PC, it would have just shattered. And it dented the side of the housing on the corner. And it cracked the screen just a little tiny bit, but it was fine. I picked it up. I just knew it was trashed. I knew the screen was going to be trashed when I picked it up, but it was fine. Get a Mac. Yeah, get a Mac for editing. You have a iPhone, Rav? Yeah, I have an iPhone. I have an iPhone right here. It's funny because I have an iPhone right here. Here's my new one, and then I have the old one right here. They're both iPhones. This is the old one, and the screen actually it still works, but it doesn't work great. The touch kind of went out on it. But I bought this phone brand new when it first came out. It's an iPhone 6s Plus. And what are we on now? Like an iPhone 11? Yeah, iPhone 11. And that iPhone 6s Plus, this thing has been through the ringer. It was even bent. It was the one when it first came out, like if you put it in your back pocket, it would bend. So it's got a curve to it from where I used to sit down. But it still works. The camera in it is all jacked up though. And being a photographer, that really kind of sucks. If you see the camera, it vibrates. Can you guys hear that? So I dealt with that for a long time until I finally got a different phone. Anyway, guys, let's get to our first topic. I'm just rambling today. So has anybody seen the controversy, the big controversy that's going on right now is so many people are canceling their Netflix subscriptions over this freaking little French movie. It's a foreign film, and it's called Cuties in America, and it's a French name in France that I can't even... I'd have to get somebody that's French to pronounce it for me. Magnolias or something like that. But yeah, it's stirred up quite a controversy. For the simple fact is you have these little girls that are like 10, 11 years old, and they're twerking, and the Netflix poster that was originally posted that they changed because there was a outcry over this film, over the poster. The poster is what got everybody all riled up, and everybody is super... what is the word right now? Super sensitive to, with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff going on and the documentary on Netflix about Jeffrey Epstein, the Harvey Weinstein, all of these child sex rings that are being busted that nobody really talks about. I mean, they're continuously, like, I think one was in Georgia not too long ago where they found like 31 little girls that were being trafficked, trafficking, this human trafficking thing. So people are waking up to, the whole child, the child thing and the way Hollywood sexualizes children. I have not watched the movie. I don't really plan on watching the movie. Now, I will say it is a European film. This is not an American film, so it's not like somebody or Hollywood produced this movie. And in other countries, they don't look at things exactly the way we do. But the story, from what I understand, the storyline of the movie is basically the storyline is the film actually talking about these little girls that their parents are pushing them to be older and making them, they're like twerking and wearing makeup and doing all these things that are really not age appropriate for children. And I guess the storyline basically runs along those lines that at the end it shows the little girls just wanting to be little girls, not wanting to be these sexualized dance women or little girls that look like women. So the storyline evidently, I like the story, that if that's what the storyline is, that makes a lot of sense. The problem is if you look at the marketing for the French version of the movie poster, and the original one for the Netflix, it's different between night and day. I mean, it's just like the French ones, these little girls just skipping down the street, like, hey, we're best buddies. And then the freaking one for the American Netflix that was on Netflix, the original poster that caused a stir, these little girls are all hunched over and, like bent over like little hoochie mamas doing their little twerk dance. You know what I mean? And that's what got everybody up in arms about it. It's a morality issue, exactly, Random Nomad. Netflix causing a fair amount of cancel. Netflix, yep. There's a lot of people canceling Netflix over this, and for good reason, I understand. I mean, and then Netflix came out and, they actually made a statement about the movie and basically stood behind the movie. And I had a friend of mine that posted on Facebook. He's a photographer as well. And as photographers, we get accused of sexualizing women all the time. So it's part of the territory. But this photographer, trying to be open-minded, came out and was pretty much defending the movie, but hadn't seen it. He was just defending it and saying, people are overreacting. It's Christians and Christian conservatives are making a big deal over nothing. And it's not that bad, and you should watch it before you have an opinion on it, which I kind of agree with that. So he decided to watch it, which I was actually glad that he did, because he said he was going to watch it with an open mind and then give an opinion on it. So I was keeping up with his Facebook posts, and he's a black gentleman, black photographer, great photographer. He ended up watching the movie, and then he came back, and it's his opinion, but he goes, yeah, man, he goes, it's kind of, he goes, I really wanted to like this movie. He goes, I like the storyline, but some of the stuff in this movie, it's really hard to defend it. So that told me everything right there that I needed to hear. I don't need to see it. Random Nomad says a lot of people have been deleting and canceling Netflixes over other things too. Yep, I agree. But the funny thing is while I was at my friend Kim and Brent's house, babysitting their house and their pet sitting their puppy while they were out of town, they have Amazon Prime, so you can watch Game of Thrones. And I was one of the people that had never seen an episode of Game of Thrones till a couple weeks ago. So I sat down there, and you can watch Game of Thrones on Amazon Prime. They've got like 11 seasons or whatever it is. I sat there for 2 days, or I spent 2 days from sunup to sundown watching Game of Thrones. And it's good. It's not near as good as Breaking Bad to me. But I watch Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is full of nudity, and there's all kinds of stuff in Game of Thrones. But it's adult, you know what I mean? It's adults, so I don't have a problem with adult nudity. Random Nomad says, yeah, I totally agree with the people who cancel their account, all the power to them. I totally agree with you too. These companies are going to understand that some things are not appropriate, and having little 12-year-old, 10, 11-year-old girls twerking to me is just, it's not appropriate. That is, there's nothing about that to me that's ever going to be appropriate. And then in California, we've got this new law, this 145 that passed, that some congressman or some politician up in San Francisco dreamed up, that has this 10-year age gap. So if like a 24-year-old has sex with a 14-year-old, they're no longer considered a pedophile. They no longer have to register as a sex offender. I didn't look in depth at the law, but and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but from what I understand, that's what the law is. And evidently it was supposed to be to protect the transgender community, because the transgender community are having sex with underage people, I guess, and then they're getting charged and having to register as sex offenders. So the politician that dreamed this up, his excuse was it's supposed to help the transgender community. So somebody educate me on that, because I don't know. But that sounds worse than cuties to me, to be honest with you. A 24-year-old having sex with a 14-year-old. Incest in Game of Thrones, though. Yes, there is incest in the Game of Thrones. Brother and sister. Yes, there's some crazy stuff. That's what I'm saying. Game of Thrones is, it's morally bankrupt, but it's still adults, so I have no problem with adults. Adults doing their thing, and you're going to see that, you know what I mean? And the thing about it is as bad as Game of Thrones is, I'm sure it's very, very, very tame compared to what the real time, back in the real days of those, when, what was really going on back in those days. Random Nomad says a 22 to 14-year-old. I'm sorry, but that's not right. I totally agree. Yeah, if it's 17 to 24, I agree. Yeah. I don't know. It just, age thing all depends on society. I mean, you had Elvis who married Lisa Marie Presley. She was, 14 or 15 when he started dating her? And then you had Jerry Lee Lewis who started dating his cousin. She was like 14. So it's a society thing. But I think in society today, I think we view everybody as 18. When they're 18, the funny thing is one of the problems that I was talking to another photographer friend of mine, and we both, are kind of, we post some controversial photos of scantily clad young women. But one thing that we're seeing is this backlash of like Jada Pinkett, Will Smith's wife. She had this affair with a 23-year-old or whatever. It's not really an affair because Will, from what I understand, Will knew about it. So it's not really an affair. If Jada has her husband's blessing, that it's really not an affair. But anyway, this gentleman that she had the affair with was 23 years old. So I saw another black gentleman, my friend Daryl Stripe on my Facebook. I saw him making a post about how Jada was taking advantage of this young man like he was a kid. He's 23 years old. He's a grown-ass man. By the time I was 23 years old, I had a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. Amy Preston says some people's religions consider 13 to be an adult age. Yes, that's very true, Amy Preston. I just don't I don't agree with adult age. But here I'm going to share a story with you guys really quick. I'm going to out myself on this one. My first time that I was ever with a woman, I was in 7th grade going to 8th grade, and she was 21 and I was 13, 14, which nowadays she would go to jail if nobody ever really found out about this, what was going on. But the one thing I do want to say is when it comes to boys and girls, society looks at it differently, and for good reason, because believe me, I was 14 years old, but I knew exactly what I was doing. And it was a seduction process, if that makes sense. So when I hear these teachers, these young 22, 23-year-old teachers that are having sex and ended up going to jail for having sex with these 13, 14, 15-year-old boys, I don't look at that the same as if it was reversed and it was a male teacher having sex with one of his 13 or 14, 15-year-old girl students. Because even though I was only 14, believe me, I knew exactly what I was doing. So, But in today's society, that the young lady that I seduced would have went to jail if anybody would have found, if it would ever been known or found out about it. So when I hear these cases on TV, I do think back to that. And her and I spent a whole summer together, and we went everywhere together. So, but the thing about it is even though I was only 14, I looked a lot older than what I actually was. When I was 15, in the 9th grade, my friends used to call me in Lubbock, Texas. They used to call me, all of my high school friends would call me and have me go out to the Strip. If people don't understand, Lubbock used to be a dry county. So you had to drive on the outside of town. You had to get across the city limits, and they had all of these liquor stores, and they called it the Strip. So at the time, the drinking age was 18 years old. So I was 15, but all my friends, my high school friends, would call me, and I would drive out to the Strip. I had a 78 Trans Am. I'd drive out to the Strip, and they would give me like $10 in gas money, and I would go in the beer store and buy beer for them. And I looked old enough that they never carded me. I never once got carded. Random Nomad says, I think even 30-something got in trouble for having with her 17-year-old student. Yes. Amy Preston says, my ex is 14 years my junior. We were married 21 years. Yep. When you're adults, though, it's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like if you have like a 24-year-old that's dating a 34-year-old, or, I mean, hell, I've dated 20-something-year-olds, and there's been a huge age difference. But then when it's children, when it gets into kids, you know, it's looked at a lot differently. Random Nomad says, sounds like my buddy even when he was 17, 18, when it was 21 to get alcohol. Yeah. Once the law changed to 21, I couldn't get away with it anymore. It was really weird because as soon as I turned 18, it was the year that the drinking age went to 21. So it was such a, I don't know if it was a karma thing. It kind of felt like karma because I had been going into the beer store and buying beer for like 3 or 4 years at that time. And I could go in and get a 6-pack anytime I wanted to. And then the age went to 21. And when I turned 18, I would go into the same liquor store, Pinky's Liquor Store, and I couldn't get anything because the drinking age went to 21. So if you weren't 21, they would card you. If you didn't look 21, they would card you. And I looked about 18, so they would card me because I was 18. But when I was 16, 17, I looked 18. Even when I was 15, I looked 18. So it was a really weird thing because I went to being able to buy beer for several years, and then all of a sudden I couldn't buy it at all. I was one of the ones out there calling my friends that was 21 going, hey man, can you come out to the Strip and buy me some beer, buy some beer? Anyway, guys, we got 6 people in the room. We got 5 likes. Thank you guys for joining us here. So the other thing, it's not just Netflix that's getting canceled. It is the NFL as well. And I wanted to say if you watched my podcast with the Mike Wallace, who's the NASCAR driver who was indefinitely suspended, I wanted to give a shout out really quick to the best comment that I got for that episode, and it was from an L Garza, and I want to read what he said, or she. It might have been a girl, but I think it was a gentleman. It just says L Garza, and I actually want to read their comment because it's the best comment from that episode. It's so weird because I've been putting these podcasts out and haven't even been checking the comments because I didn't think there was that many comments. And then I checked like yesterday or day before, and there was tons and tons of comments. So I went through all the comments. But from the Mike Wallace episode podcast, he's the NASCAR driver that was indefinitely suspended. I heard he's been suspended for a year, I believe, over something that I read it on the podcast. It didn't even seem controversial to me. But anyway, let me read to you what El Garza said here. El Garza says, for Mike Wallace, basically a message to Mike Wallace. So as long as Mike Wallace supports BLM and is anti-President Trump, hates the police, supports peaceful rioting, quotations, and so on, he can get back to racing. In other words, he cannot have his own opinion and has to be indoctrinated like a good little Nazi. And I responded to that, nailed it, literally hit it right out of the park. I could not have said it better myself. And that's my biggest problem with people on the left is they want to call people on the right Nazis, but they're the ones that are burning books, and they're the ones that are, telling people they can't say this and they can't say that. They can't have this information. They can't have that information. I was just watching today the Mark Ruffalo, probably pronouncing his last name wrong. He's a celebrity, been in a lot of TV shows, movies. He's very vocal on Twitter as, far left, politically leaning. And there's this new no hate support, no hate movement that they've got going on Twitter. Leonardo DiCaprio has gotten in it. So they're going to freeze their Facebook for one day, meaning, or their Instagram account, meaning they're not going to be on their Instagram account for 24 hours because there's all this misinformation that these social media platforms are providing and letting be pushed. And what what they're talking about is anything that leans right. Anything that leans right, they call misinformation, is what it is. Yes, erasing history, random nomad. Amy Preston says, my mom would send me to the store down the street with a note. I would bring back a can of beer and a pack of cigarettes. I was 6. Yes, I was one of those kids too, Amy Preston. My mother used to give me quarters. Like a pack of cigarettes, I think was $1.25. So she would give me 5 quarters and send me to the freaking store, the convenience store, to go buy her a pack of Winston cigarettes. And if I didn't go straight to the store and come directly back, she would be PO'd. Random Nomad says, I'm off Facebook now and I'm happy, don't miss it now anymore. Different times. Yes, different times. I'm not sure that those different times, when we talk about Make America Great Again, I'm not sure those different times were bad though. Even though a kid could go buy a pack of cigarettes, there was so much more freedom in this country. You know what I mean? You could, as a kid, as a child, I grew up riding in the back of my dad's pickup going 65 miles an hour down the down the highway, not the freeway, but the highway out in the country. We always rode in the back of the pickup, stuff like that. All of those things you can't do now. Somebody call the cops for child abuse. It's funny because as much as we give crap to Mexico about, their corrupt police department and their corrupt government officials and all of these things, Mexico's much more free. I remember the last time I went over to Mexico, it was funny because as soon as I got there, I was walking down the road, the side of the road, and I look over, and there's a pickup with like 6 or 7 kids in the back of the pickup. There's teenagers. There's like a probably 16, 17-year-old girl, 16, 17-year-old guy or kid, teenagers. And then all the way down to like probably 8 or 9 years old. There's like, 6 or 7 kids in the back of this pickup just cruising down the road, like we used to do in this country. But now everybody's got their Karen. That's another thing I wanted to call the left out on. And this show's not going to be all about just, crapping on the left, but they make up all of these words, right? They have all of these new words, that they love throwing around, especially millennials. And there's one word that's called virtue signaling that oh my God, they're virtue signaling us. They're virtue signaling people on the left. You are the king and queens of virtue signaling. That's all you do with Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem. That's as virtue signaling as you can get. That's all they do is they virtue signal, virtue signal, virtue signal. It's so funny. They make up all these words, and then the words they end up being the epitome of the words that they're making up. That's supposed to be derogatory. The words fit them to a T. Random Nomad says, "Why not crap on the left?" Yeah. If you haven't figured it out, I have, by the title of the show, which I'm talking about the Netflix cuties, we're kind of trashing that right now, and the NFL and NASCAR. I don't understand why all these sporting, I understand the cuties thing. I don't understand these sporting, or sports. I don't understand why they're getting into the political spectrum, especially like NASCAR. I mean, they're basically crapping on the people that they're fans, the people that pay to watch NASCAR. They're taking a completely different stand than what 90% of the NASCAR fans want, which doesn't make any sense to me. None of the NASCAR here's a message to you, NASCAR. If anybody from NASCAR watches this, believe me, none of your constituents, none of your fan base enjoy social justice. They don't care. They just want to watch cars. They want to watch their favorite driver drive around in circles. They don't care about your social justice mottos and your virtual signaling. But if you haven't noticed, I am getting away from politics. My son actually sent me a message telling me he loved my show, but he said, why don't you try to keep it more moderate? And that was actually great advice. So that's why I went to, from coming on hard with every episode being very politically based, to bringing up just, current events and topics. So I changed my category for my YouTube videos from people and blogs or vlogs to news and media, I guess. And I felt like my YouTube videos were being suppressed by YouTube when I was making every one of them titled something political. And now I went from like one of them had 80 views. I was getting like 77 views, 82 views. And then the Mike Wallace video, 800 views. So I'm going to be talking a lot about, I'm going to be talking a lot about current events, if that, even though they may be controversial. And my last podcast that I talked about, Nomadland, which is the new movie coming out, that podcast was the first podcast I've had in months, or since I started this back up, that wasn't demonetized. It never got demonetized. So it actually went live as soon as the video was ready with monetization and everything. So that really made me happy. But the NFL had 30% drop in ratings from opening day. And I don't know. Hey, I just talked about you on the last podcast, Eve, Brooklyn English Bulldog. Good to see you. It was funny. We were wondering where you were the last podcast. I know you just got your van. How's that going? How are you doing in your van? What did you get? Did you get a ProMaster? What did you get? I know it wasn't a Sprinter. Been out roaming, so I haven't gotten to see. Yeah, I bet you're out cruising around in that new van. Van lifing. Yeah, you got a Transit. Good for you, Eve. Great thing about the Transit, gets good gas mileage. Hey, Lance Hale, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Funny, Lance, I was just looking up some places in Austin. I said on my last podcast, I am actually looking for, I want like a shop. I found a couple of them in Tucson that were shops, commercial shops, but they have like an apartment built out. So they have a shower and a kitchen and everything, but then you have a shop, you have like a warehouse. And I want something like that as a studio, so I can have my photography studio, my podcast studio, and then have my living quarters and be able to work on my truck and all kinds of things. So I've been looking everywhere. I've looked in like little places in New Mexico. If I could find the right commercial shop warehouse that I could rent, Wow, an hour goes by fast. Almost there. Yep, it is crazy. It does go by quick. Got about 7 minutes left. So how's everybody's week going? I want to tell you guys something today, that I did something today that I haven't done in a long time, and I posted it on my Facebook page. I went to Wendy's for lunch. I know I eat too much fast food and it's not good for you, but I went to Wendy's for lunch, and I went in and I noticed that there was a couple of people sitting in the dining room. And so here in California, if you don't know, most of the fast food restaurants, the drive-thrus are open and the dining room is closed, but you can go in and you can get takeout. So you can order your food and then leave with it, but you can't sit down at the tables and eat. And it's been like that since March. I haven't eaten in a fast food restaurant since like March. I had sushi at a sushi restaurant, and that had been the last restaurant I'd eaten at for a long time, until I was in Long Beach and stopped at this little hamburger place in downtown Long Beach, and they had a little outside seating area where you could sit outside and eat. But I hadn't really sat in a fast food restaurant since March. And I noticed there was a couple of people sitting, but they still had these signs on the table. And all the time, the signs always say dining room is closed, takeout only. But I noticed that the signs just said something about please follow social distancing rules. And so the guy asked me, is it for here or to go? And I went, oh, for here? I said, I can get it for here? Yeah, let me get it for here. So I actually sat and ate my chicken sandwich in a Wendy's today. And it was quite weird, actually, because it had been so long since I'd sat inside a fast food restaurant and actually ate my food. It was actually nice because it was nice and cool and the air conditioning was going. You know, for us van lifers, that's one thing, you know, when you don't have air conditioning, a thing I used to do was look for places I could go. I would go to like Home Depot. They have good air conditioning. I'd go cruise around Home Depot. If I needed some stuff, I might go to Ross, do some clothes shopping. I would go to have some lunch, go to Yogurtland, and just kind of bounce around to these different places that have air conditioning if it was too hot in my vehicle. And with this whole pandemic thing, that's been off the table. Lance says, come rent my house. It has 1,200 square feet for shop. Wow. You have a 1,200 square feet shop, Lance? Yeah, you're getting ready to get out on the road, huh? My thing is I don't want a regular house. I'm not really a house person. I owned a house in Texas, or I should say I still own a house in Texas, but my ex-wife lives in it. It's actually her house now. You have a 30 by 40. Is it I guess it's a pole barn, Lance? Man, that's a big shop. 30 by 40. Random Nomad says, there is snow up at the Grand Canyon now in Arizona, high country. Yep. Eve, English Bulldog says, went from Leo Carrillo to Red Rock to Vegas to Zion to Bryce to the Arches here at the Grand Canyon now. Oh, wow. Good for you, Eve. Yeah, that's a great thing about jumping in when you first get into the van life. Everybody wants to get out and take that first initial road trip. Good for you. Haven't seen snow here, but just got here today. Good for you. Take some pictures and put them on your Facebook page so we can check them out. So I can check them out. Yeah, so she said there wasn't any snow, Random Nomad, yet in the Grand Canyon. You know what's funny is I've been all over this country. I've been to Yellowstone National Park. I've been everywhere. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. I don't know how many times I've been by the Grand Canyon, but I've never actually stopped. I've been down where the 10 or the 40? I think it's the 40. And there's a sign off to the road that you can turn right and go north. And it says Grand Canyon, like 80 miles or something like that. I don't know what it says, but it's just it's a sign that, you know, saying this is the road going to the Grand Canyon. Turn off here and go to the Grand Canyon. I never have turned and went north from there. I need to go to the Grand Canyon. There's just some things though that just doesn't interest me, like Hawaii. I know if I go, I'm going to love it, but like I've never been to Hawaii. I have no desire to go to Hawaii. I'd rather go to Fiji, or I'd rather go somewhere like that. Yeah, it's I-40 Random Nomad. Same here, and I lived in Arizona. There's one more thing I was going to talk about, and I forgot what it was. Oh, yes, I do remember what it was. So I possibly have it's 55 miles north of Williams. Gotcha. Joel P says, it's my favorite national park. I've taken 100,000 pictures there. That's so funny, and I've never even been there. I think 40 goes from East Coast to West Coast, doesn't it? Yeah, I do believe so, Amy Preston. The 10 does too, if I remember right. Yeah, I know it does, because I've taken the 10 from Florida to LA. So really quick, it's 58 minutes here. We're going to wrap this thing up right around an hour. I want to say that I actually have a potential new sponsor. For those of you who don't know, my chair, this TechniSport chair, TechniSport is the only really official sponsor that I have of the podcast. But I possibly have another sponsor, but it's so weird because this channel, I started it out doing these things called scam alerts. And some of these videos I did, like scam alert videos, like with Thumbtack, which is it's a referral service for professional services. I did like 2 or 3 Thumbtack videos. They had 30, 40,000 views. Don't use Thumbtack. Horrible, horrible, horrible company. I never had anything but bad luck with them. They basically just steal your money. But it's a referral service that you pay for. And then I did Thumbtack videos. I did a scam alert video on Ty Lopez when he came out with his little, I'll make you a rich entrepreneur if you pay $60 for my little information packet to tell you how to become a successful entrepreneur. So I had these scam alert videos that did very well, but I just kind of felt like it was kind of a negative connotation, negativity to that. You're kind of crapping on people. So I kind of got away from it, even though they did very well. I made good money off of those videos, and I just didn't know what else to keep scam alerting about. So anyway, I had somebody they sent me a link to this new Raise energy drink. You've probably seen it. So for those of you that don't know, I love Monster. It used to be Red Bull, but I finally adapted to Monster because it's a bigger can for less money. But I do love energy drinks. I drink energy drinks. I know they're terrible for you. They're horrible for you. Worse than soda probably. But I usually drink 1 energy drink a day. Gets me really going. Gets me, I'm old, so it gets me, gets me going. And so this new Raise energy drink, which is supposed to be a lot healthier, so I'm looking for a healthier alternative. So you've probably seen them because they have like this guerrilla marketing going on YouTube. I guess mostly on Facebook and Instagram. But they're looking for brand ambassadors. So I actually signed up for their brand ambassador program for them to, so I could be a brand ambassador for their Raise sports drinks. Crazy thing is I signed up, and I go through this little process to sign up as a brand ambassador, which usually they pay you. So I used to do Rockstar when Rockstar come out. Rockstar gave me, I still have my Rockstar t-shirt for Rockstar energy drink. And this was back in like 2012, 2011 when Rockstar first started. Maybe before that, maybe 2009. I was in Vegas at their main office in Vegas. And they gave me like a case of Rockstar, gave me a shirt, and gave me a discount code if I wanted to promote or sell Rockstar. I could. And so that's the treatment I was used to from an energy drink. So when this Raise, I was like, man, Raise, I kind of like it. And then they had a red, white, and blue can. They have one of their cans, one of their flavors is like a red, white, and blue can. I'm like, oh, I would love to promote that. That'd be perfect for the American Nomad podcast. So I go through their sign up, which I did that I had to do it for TechniSport as well. Their brand ambassador sign up. They have this sign up application. You have to put in your application. They want to check your numbers for your Instagram and your social media presence, and they'll either approve you or they won't. So I go through the Raise application. And then at the very end, they hit you with this packet, this promotional packet that they put together. But here's the kicker. The promotional packet is like $34. So they give you a couple of t-shirts and they give you a few flavors of their drink and some samples and stuff like that. But you have to pay for it. I've never heard of anything like this ever. But since the podcast is new, I don't have a big following. I'm not a Joe Rogan, so I don't have sponsors kicking down my door. I thought, well, I'll try it. Plus, if it's a good energy drink and I like it and it's healthy, it's actually, they have it at the vitamin stores, I believe actually is where you can buy this Ray's energy drinks. So if it's actually a healthy alternative to like all the monsters that I drink, I'm on board with it. So I decided, okay, well, I'll go ahead and pay the $34.99 or whatever it is and try this and then get my code. And, if I like it, then I'll promote it and, try to sell it for them or whatever. I've even got text messages from them. They are nonstop texting me, trying to get me to buy more stuff. So I'm very put off by that. Their guerrilla marketing. You've probably seen them. They're advertising all over Facebook, all over everywhere. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to get my packet in here, see how I like it. But that may be a scam alert video coming in the near future if they don't lay off the guerrilla marketing. You don't go after your brand ambassadors. You don't try to sell your brand ambassadors. Does that make sense? A brand ambassador is like your salesperson. So like one of my good friends, JT, John Travolta, who used to be a brand ambassador for Breitling watches. Breitling watches would send him a $20,000, $30,000 watch just for him to have and wear because he was their brand ambassador. They didn't charge him for it. They would I remember one time he got a gold watch. This gold Breitling, this is a Breitling here, but he got a gold Breitling that was a $25,000 watch, if I remember correctly. And they sent it to him for he was going to be like an Oscar presenter, or he was going to do something. And the class came loose or whatever, and he lost it. He lost the watch. He lost this $25,000 watch. And you know what Breitling did? They sent him another one. They sent him a replacement just like it. That is what a brand ambassador does. You don't hound your brand ambassadors. So Ray's energy drinks, if you're watching this, you do not hound your brand ambassadors if you're trying to get people to promote your energy drink. You don't hound them to continue to buy other stuff from you. And they've been continuously emailing me. They even text me. I even got a text. What did it say? Hey, Rav, this is Scott. Just letting you know that you only got an hour to get your discount. They've got some new brand ambassador program where you have to pay $25 a month to be in their little cool club Facebook group thing. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox on that, but I'm going to throw them under the bus if I get this energy drink and I don't like it. And they continuously keep hounding me with their overzealous advertising. That's not the way you do it. It is because I initially bought their stuff for $34. Oh, and that was another thing. When I went to check out, every time you would try to check out for that initial promotional package that you buy to be their brand ambassador, the promotional package, the initial one, every time you would try to check out, they would hit you with something else. Every single time you hit, check out, it would send you, oh, well, don't you want this? Well, here's 3 more t-shirts. Well, here's this, and here's what you could have this too. And I was getting so frustrated and confused. I just hit the checkout. I go to check out and the freaking bill is $80 because somewhere in there, I guess I clicked another freaking thing, an add-on package instead of just being able to check out. So the thing was, my freaking bill was $79. And they ended up, I contacted them immediately and said, hey, I didn't want all of this other bull crap. I wanted the $34.99 thing. So I want you to reimburse me my money and just send me the freaking promotional package thing. So instead of being excited about a sponsor for the show, I am a little leery. Leah Nort says it sounds like a scam, Rav. Exactly. And if it is, I'm going to throw them under the bus. You're going to see a scam alert Ray's energy drink scam alert video that it's going to be. I haven't done a scam alert video in probably 5 or 6 years, and I'm going to do one on Raise Energy if I get it and it's a scam. Lee Nort says, yeah, I wanted to move to Flagstaff and go to college there. I'm looking at Flagstaff. I like Flagstaff. I'm looking at all these little towns. Even like I said, El Paso. I know a lot of people frown on El Paso and go, oh, I wouldn't live in El Paso. It's dirty and, right across the border from Mexico. I don't have a problem. I'm free to live where I want to live. It's funny, I was watching a YouTuber right before, a van life YouTuber right before I got on. It wasn't right before, it's probably like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. But he was doing a live stream as well. And it's so funny to me because I put all of this into the promotion or the production side. He's just sitting there on his phone in his office. There's all this echo in the video, and he has no lighting. The lighting is terrible. And he's just sitting there on his phone, live streaming on his phone with absolutely no production value at all. And he has over 100 people in his live stream, watching his live stream. And it's so funny because him and I started out about the same time in the van life thing. He's doing his live stream from an apartment. Now, I'm doing it from an office. I mean, I can't throw him under the bus completely. I'm doing mine from an office. I have a rented office, but my truck that I live in is right outside the parking lot. So it's not like I'm not still van lifing, but he is not van lifing anymore. He's actually living in an apartment. And basically what he's done the last 3 years, going on 4 years since we've been in the van life thing together at about the same time, he's basically he got into one van, built it. We're talking $60,000 van, $40,000, $50,000 van. It was like a Sprinter, built it out, lived in it for a year, sold it for a profit, got another van, built it out, had it for a few months, sold it for a profit, built another. Now he's on his third van in 3 years, and he rented an apartment and a shop, and he's just living in an apartment building another van. But that guy, he's right on the cusp of 100,000 subscribers. And so thank you, Random Nomad, if you're still in the room, because it's super frustrating when I see things like that, because I've been struggling to get to 10,000 subscribers on this channel and my other channel. And it's funny because since I've changed and went to the podcast, this channel used to be about my photography, and it used to be about, gear and opening, unboxing different types of photo gear and stuff like that. And all of those old subscribers are they're just dropping like flies. I was at over 6,000 subscribers, and now I'm down to like 5,900. So I probably lost like 200 or 300 subscribers since I started the podcast. But anyway, like I said, Random Nomad and all of you friendly faces that are always in here for my show, you guys still make it worth it. Anyway, guys, we are 10 minutes after already. Man, the hours go so fast. Lance Hale, Amy Preston, Random Nomad, thank you so much, buddy. Detox D, trying to scroll back through. Even Guns OG. I don't think you're in the room anymore, but thanks for joining us for this. Thanks for joining me for the Wednesday episode of American Nomad. Somebody asked me if I'm going to watch Lee Nortz. Thank you so much, buddy. Somebody asked me if I'm going to watch Cuties on Netflix, and I'm not going to watch it. 5.97 thousand. So I've lost about 300 or 400 subscribers because I was up almost to 6,100 Random Nomad on this channel. But yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I mean, it's a little too, it's a French film. The French do things differently than we do, but I don't know. It's just, I just don't think it's appropriate. The film's appropriate. I mean, I can't really say that because I don't know firsthand, but I can say from their movie poster for Netflix, it looked a little, 10-year-old girls twerking. That's just not appropriate. Makes me sick in my stomach thinking about that. I just don't. 10-year-old girls have no business twerking at all. In my personal opinion. I mean, an old fogey, I guess, but that's just just don't think, it's too risque. I completely agree, Random Nomad. Totally agree. All right, guys. We got 9 viewers. I appreciate you guys. 7 likes. If you hit that thumbs up, you help me get a little bit better up standings in the YouTube algorithm. So I really appreciate it when you hit that thumbs up, guys. So good to see you, Eve. Thank you so much for dropping in. And I'm so excited for you and your van. And you finally got out there. I know so many people that talk about van life and then they just never pull the trigger. And Eve, you did it. Good for you. Congratulations, Eve. I know you've been looking at it for a while. Amy Preston, thank you so much. Blessings back to you. All right, guys. That is going to do it for this episode of American Nomad. God, my mind went blank. We will see you back here Friday, 7 p.m. Until then.
Thank you for listening to the American Nomad Podcast. Until next time, keep looking up because that's where it all is.